Let's try it. Yum, 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 yum. Making this was a bad idea. There's so much. It's so creamy and it's sweet, but it's not extremely sweet. When I was growing up in the Philippines, I ate Filipino spaghetti from Jollibee and McDonald's. Yes, McDonald's in the Philippines has Filipino spaghetti, fried chicken, rice, and all this other stuff. For the longest time, I couldn't stand the taste of normal Italian spaghetti. I just thought the sauce was too sour, unlike Filipino spaghetti, which is actually very sweet. Kind of like what you'd see Buddy the Elf eat. So I'm not gonna give you guys the sugar bomb Filipino spaghetti that you'd normally see, which has banana ketchup, which has extra sugar, condensed milk or evaporated milk, which is more sugar. So before you guys are like, oh my God, what are Filipinos doing to spaghetti? Next time you go to an Italian restaurant, taste the sauce. If it's good, chances are there's added sugar in there. And if the sauce is a little bit creamier, let's say it's a little bit more pink than red, then there's that added cheese or cream in their sauce, which is kind of like the condensed milk and evaporated milk. So really, the ingredients added to Filipino spaghetti isn't something completely out of left field. But today, I'm gonna show you my simplified version of Filipino spaghetti. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get alerted of the weekly videos that I create on this channel, and hit that like button below so you can help a girl out. To me, the challenge with Filipino spaghetti is that there's too many added ingredients when really you can just reduce it to the essentials to make it taste the same, which is really sugar. In addition to the basic Italian ingredients, Filipino spaghetti sometimes asks for minced carrots and bell peppers, evaporated milk or condensed milk, banana ketchup, and hot dogs. Feel free to add those if you'd like. It still would taste really good, but I'm gonna show you how I simplify my Filipino spaghetti at home and kind of create that middle ground between normal spaghetti and Filipino spaghetti. All right, let's get started. We're gonna use one pan for this recipe. If you guys haven't tried it yet, cook your spaghetti in a shallower pan because the water boils faster, which means you'll get your spaghetti noodles a lot faster. The fun other little hack tip that I have is if you have a kettle at home, boil your water in the kettle because it tends to boil it faster than if you were just to boil it in your pan. Just be careful when you're pouring it though from the kettle because the water might bounce around and it might splash on you, so be careful. Then once the water is boiling, go ahead and add just 1 pound of your pasta noodles. And then based on the package instructions, cook it about 1 or 2 minutes less than it normally needs to. So this package says 8 minutes. So what I'm gonna do is cook it for 7 minutes and then drain the water. Alexa, set timer for 7 minutes.
7 minutes, starting now.
Also, after this pasta finishes cooking, don't forget, reserve about 1 cup of the pasta water while you're draining it because we're gonna add it into the final sauce to help thicken it up a little bit. So while the pasta is boiling, we can go ahead and prepare all the little things that need to be put in our spaghetti sauce. So for this next part, you're gonna dice onions, bell peppers, and carrots. The bell peppers and the carrots, they're optional. You can go ahead and add them if you'd like, but you really don't have to have them. Also, I'm gonna use my veggie bullet because I have it, and this thing will dice my ingredients in like a snap. Obviously, you probably don't have it at home, so just go ahead and dice it with a knife. But if you do want your own veggie bullet, you can go ahead and check the link in the description below. Okay, so you really just need half an onion. This is leftover onion that I have in the fridge. The only downside of this thing is you do have to clean out this middle part because a bunch of your ingredients will be in there, which I can take it out after. I had to put the carrots through twice because it only shreds it the first time and I want it to be more finely diced. This thing does get pretty messy, which is the downside to the veggie bullet, but that's the price I pay for faster shredding. Okay, and then finally I'm gonna put in half a bell pepper. All right, cool, now I have to dig out all the stuff that's in here. Okay, so then here it is, it's all shredded up and we're just gonna saute this on the pan before we add it in our sauce. Okay, so you didn't see it, but I drained the pasta and I saved some of that water over there. The sink is over there. So this is the same pan that we'll be using. And now I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil. So I don't know, maybe add like 1 to 2 teaspoons of oil. So next, what is any good spaghetti without garlic? So what I did is I peeled these garlic cloves. I chose like about 5. You can choose however many you want. And then I'm just gonna crush it using this garlic crusher. All right, now just saute this and make sure it doesn't burn, so keep your flame a little bit lower. Okay, and then we're gonna add our mixture of veggies. So basically, I wanna cook these now. I wanna cook them down really softly before I add any of the meat so that it can integrate into the sauce and it'll all be soft. You won't have like weird crunchy bits of vegetables in there. All right, so these vegetables are looking pretty soft. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna push them to the side like this, and then we're gonna make way for ground beef. So depending on how much fat you've got in your ground beef, you don't have to add extra oil to saute it. What I'm using here is 73% lean, 27% fat. So I'm not gonna add extra oil, it's gonna be fat enough. So if you like more meat in your spaghetti, feel free to add more, or you can reduce it if you'd like. And you can also choose to use other ground meats, so ground pork, ground chicken, whatever you'd like. So whenever you're cooking ground beef, constantly be crushing it into smaller pieces, just because you don't want big globs of meat. So this should be good. The ground beef is still a little bit pink, but that's okay because it will continue to cook once we add the sauce. The next thing that we're gonna add though is iconic for any Filipino spaghetti. Fire red Filipino hot dogs. So these are Martin Pure Foods Filipino hot dogs. You can also get these from Seafood City, which is my local Filipino supermarket. They also have other types of red Filipino hot dogs, but Martin Pure Foods is the most popular brand. It's nostalgia for me, that's for sure. I remember when I was a kid in the Philippines, pure bliss was when my parents would send me to school with just rice and these fire red Filipino hot dogs. I would be so happy during lunchtime. So at home, I don't typically include Filipino hot dogs in my Filipino spaghetti, but if I'm gonna be serving it to someone who's never had Filipino spaghetti before, there is no way I'm gonna omit these guys. This is like iconic. It has to be in Filipino spaghetti. Filipino hot dogs taste different from American hot dogs. I don't really know how to describe it to you, so you're just gonna have to go and try it and let me know in the comments below if you can tell what the difference is. But if you're desperate though, like you don't have a Filipino market near you where you can get these Filipino hot dogs, then you can go ahead and use American hot dogs, or you can just add more ground beef. I'm gonna be using 6 of these Filipino hot dogs, and I'm gonna be slicing it like this as well, because this is normally the shape that I see them in other Filipino spaghettis. All right, so just dump them in the middle. Depending on how indulgent you wanna be, you can go ahead and add more. Okay, so these Filipino hot dogs are actually ready to eat, so we don't really have to cook them as much. So what we're gonna do next is just dump in our tomato sauce. Most of you guys probably are familiar with just a traditional pasta sauce, so just grab any kind of pasta sauce you can get. This is 24 ounces. I'm gonna dump the whole thing in here. If your spaghetti sauce has other flavors like garlic, basil, all that stuff, it's fine, you can use it too. Really, the highlight is we just gotta make it sweet. So this is a perfect amount of sauce for me. So I don't know about you guys, but I like to have a lot more meat in my pasta sauce than there is sauce. All right, so for this next part, I don't care who you are, try this. Put in 1 tablespoon of fish sauce in your spaghetti sauce. We're gonna cook it down so that the fishy flavor will go away, but what you're left with is a complex umami flavor in your spaghetti sauce. Don't be scared of fish sauce, guys. And if you don't have a bottle of fish sauce yet, what are you doing? You deserve fish sauce. I put a link in the description below. Go ahead and get yourself a bottle of fish sauce. So just 1 tablespoon. And then add freshly cracked black pepper. It's totally up to you how much you want. I just kind of crack it on top. Maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon. For the salt, just to be safe, we're gonna add it at the very end after we add in our sugar and our cheese. All right, so like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Filipino spaghetti is supposed to be very sweet, hence the condensed milk and then the banana ketchup. So if you do want that, you can get Jufran banana sauce. I got this from Seafood City as well, or you can get the UFC one. My mom says the UFC brand is better than Jufran when it comes to Filipino spaghetti, but Jufran is better for like fried chicken and dipping stuff in. But like I also mentioned, I do want to simplify this and not have the banana ketchup and condensed or evaporated milk. So instead, I'm just gonna add sugar because really you're adding that stuff for extra sweetness. But I also don't want it to be too sweet, just so people who aren't used to extremely sweet Filipino spaghetti can eat it as well. So to the sauce, I'm just gonna add 3 tablespoons of sugar. All right, so now just mix this all up, and then we're gonna simmer it for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. The longer you simmer it, the sweeter the spaghetti sauce will get because the tomatoes will continue to cook. And like I mentioned earlier, we do need to cook down the fish sauce as well so that you don't get a fishy taste. We want an umami taste. Next, we're gonna add creaminess to this sauce without condensed milk or evaporated milk. So in my version of Filipino spaghetti, I'm gonna use Velveeta or Eden cheese or American yellow cheese, really any kind of pasteurized processed cheese to add creaminess to this pasta sauce that you would normally get from the condensed milk or the evaporated milk. I'm gonna be using a lot, so I'm gonna be using like 1 cup, and all you need to do is slice it like this. It's gonna be really hard to shred processed cheese. It's super soft. Plus, it's gonna melt in this sauce anyway, so just chop it up into small pieces. All right, now just mix this up, wait until the cheese fully melts and integrates into the sauce, and then we can add our salt. Watch, as the cheese continues to melt, your sauce will get lighter in color. See, it's starting to look like some of those Italian pasta sauces, right? All right, let's try some. It's so good. So it's not too sweet, like other Filipino spaghettis might get a little too sweet. It's got a great saltiness from that Velveeta, but we could probably add just like a teaspoon more salt just to amplify the flavor a little bit. And then that's it. So just mix this up so the salt can integrate into the sauce, and then we can finally add our noodles in here. He's been sitting there for a while ever since we started this recipe. If you just want to skip making the sauce altogether, you can actually get one of these pre-made Filipino spaghetti sauces from Seafood City. This is the sweet style. You can also get just the original style, and then just add in the meat and the hot dogs separately. It'll make your life so much easier. Let me know in the comments below, do you guys just use Jufran or do you just use UFC? I wanna know. So remember I reserved some of that pasta water to use it into the sauce. I probably don't need it since this is liquidy enough and it's got a texture that I like. Okay, so let me grab the noodles. Dump this all in here. Remember, I undercooked these guys by a minute so that they don't overcook when I mix it into the rest of the sauce. In one of the cooking websites I follow, they showed the difference between cooking your pasta within the sauce and then just pouring the sauce separately. And when you cook it into the sauce, it adds more of the sauce into the noodles. It kind of seeps in there. You can see the color of the noodles and then the taste of the noodles are a little bit different. So I do it this way now. All right, so you probably only want to cook this for like a minute or two, just enough so that the noodles can integrate with the pasta sauce. Cool, so this should be ready. Now all that's left to do is wait for it to cool down, plate it, and eat it. Yum, 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 yum. Making this was a bad idea. There's so much. Yum! It's so creamy and it's sweet, but it's not extremely sweet. And you've got that Velveeta, that cheese, to offset that sweet from the sugar. Filipino spaghetti, I typically eat on its own because it already has a bunch of meat in there. I typically see it paired with fried chicken, like in McDonald's in the Philippines or Jollibee. But if you're at a Filipino party, usually you can pair Filipino spaghetti with lumpia or maybe more of these Filipino hot dogs if they have some. If you've got too much Filipino spaghetti, don't worry, just stick it in your freezer, thaw it, and then microwave it, and you can just eat it as you go. I know this is kind of a lot, especially for 2 people. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I know it isn't like the traditional Filipino spaghettis that you'd normally see, but I did want to make it simpler, especially for you guys who need more accessible ingredients. So if you did like this video, please press the thumbs up, give me a like below. Also, do not forget to subscribe so that you can get alerted of these weekly videos that I'm making. I'm making 2 now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check the description below for some links to these ingredients and tools that I used if you need to get your own. And I'll see you guys in next week's video. Bye!